That's what they always tell you. And you knew this, but now it's confirmed they were lying. In an op-ed published today, Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell, a frequent guest on this show, called for banning all so-called assault weapons, which he, of course, did not define, and then seizing those weapons from millions of gun owners by force. So the cat is out of the bag on that question. John Summers was communications director for Senator Harry Reid, and he joins us tonight. So, John, I guess I've been saying this for a couple of years now and have been dismissed as a paranoid lunatic, which, by the way, I'm not. I always assume the best. But this is the only way if you believe crime is caused by guns, you've got to get rid of the guns. You're wrong, but that you wind up where Swalwell now admits he is. So can't we just be honest about this debate? They're trying to take our guns away by force.
I am all about having this honest debate, because what I think you have found is one of the more extreme examples. The reality is that most Democrats, the vast majority of Democrats, and the vast majority of people who are in the gun violence prevention movement don't feel that way. What they actually want to do is meet the rest of the American public where we already are. 90% of Americans believe in expanding background checks to all gun sales and other common sense reforms. I think most Americans also agree with the notion that we shouldn't have weapons of war on our streets. Now, I think where you lose the discussion is when you start talking about taking guns out of people's homes.
Well, look, the truth is, again, if you believe that guns cause crime, you're not familiar with the data, which show the opposite. But if you believe that, if that's the premise of your position, then you have to tell me what you're going to do with the hundreds of millions of guns currently in the possession of law-abiding Americans. Those guns are not going away. They last virtually forever. You have to get rid of them if that's what you believe. Don't you?
And I think that's what Representative Swalwell is proposing, but I think that's a difficult argument to have, because I don't think that's where the American public is at. I don't think that's where the majority of...
But hold on. Right, because you don't want to say it out. Well, you're right, absolutely. People are horrified when you tell the truth. And Swalwell, for whatever reason, chose to. By the way, he's not an extremist.
No, actually, you know what people are horrified by, Tucker? What people are horrified are the 96 gun deaths that take place in this country every single day. And by the way, the vast majority of those deaths aren't caused by assault weapons. They're actually caused, we have 96 of these tragedies that play out every single day in people's homes.
But it's not a contest to see who can be more upset by violence.
By expanding background checks to all gun sales.
Okay. But what do you do? Look, I am every bit as upset by people dying as you are. The question is not who's a better person, who has a bigger heart. My solution is to ask an honest question, which is, why is this happening? There are a lot of potential factors here. Fewer American households have guns than had 50 years ago. The guns haven't changed. They're not more effective than they used to be. The calibers are the same. And yet we have mass shootings. Why is that? It's not the guns aren't doing it. Well, just because I have a hammer in my house doesn't build a house for me. I mean, like, it's insane, actually.
Well, you can thank background checks for actually... You can thank background checks for actually helping to reduce gun violence, because background checks have blocked the sales of 3 million sales of guns to people who shouldn't have them in the first place.
I'm not arguing against background. We have background checks, so actually.
Right, and the majority of people want to expand those background checks into online gun sales.
But hold on.
Most of them aren't in the area where Swalwell is.
But what you're saying, what I find so, and I'm being honest, infuriating about what you're saying is, you know that I'm right, that in the end, the goal is to take the guns away. You have to if you believe what you believe, but you don't want to say it because, most Americans would find it terrifying that law-abiding people would be punished for the crimes of criminals.
having worked with many influential members of Democrats in both houses on Capitol Hill, and having worked directly in the gun violence prevention movement, I can tell you, you are absolutely wrong. That we want to see smart, common sense gun violence.
Okay, but stop with the propaganda language, the smart, common sense, whatever. That's just poll-tested junk. I want to know, what the actual solution is. So you leave the hundreds of millions of guns in people's households. You never bother people. They can leave them to their kids. They can sell them to their neighbors. They can basically do what they do now with them. You don't want to change any of that.
I think we've talked about making a lot of changes, including expanding background checks to online gun sales. In terms of what happens
that's negligible. Very few guns are sold online. I mean, let's be adults here. Come on, that's silly.
Well,
Is it okay No, it's true. I know the numbers. I know a lot about this. No guns are sold online.
And where do you think people go who can't pass a background check? Where do you think they go to buy their guns? Gun shows and online, where they don't have to go through any sort of a background check.
This is just a negligible
Doesn't matter whether
percentage.
they're domestic abusers
You're not answering
or violent felons.
You're not answering my question. Just answer my question, fact-based question, which is, these guns exist, these so-called assault rifles, these scary guns. What do we do with them? We just let them remain in circulation forever? Is that your plan, yes or no?
That's certainly not my plan.
Oh. So I think you actually agree with Swalwell, and I think you know that you do. You just don't want to say it. So when you're ready to be honest, come on back. Thanks, John. Good to see you.
You bet.
The Boy Scouts have changed their name. That's not just